Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Monal and I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in October. I read like 10 books, which is pretty great for me. I have been a little stressed with university assignments, but I was somehow able to find a little time aside for reading, and I got through 10 books, so I'm kind of making progress. Anyways, let's just get started with all the books I read. So the first book I read, I wanted to read something that was very October, something that you would definitely want to read in October, something a little paranormal or magic realism. The first book that I ended up picking was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Boston. This is her debut novel and I loved this book. Right off the bat, I gave this book 5 stars. It was so good. So this book is basically about Florence Day, who is a ghostwriter for a very famous author, and she has a contract for a specific publishing house where she's supposed to write a certain number of books, and she has deadlines for each of these books. And so she has to write one final book for the publishing house, and it's supposed to be a romance, and the book is due within a week. So when she goes to meet her new editor, who's going to be obviously editing this book, he's like super handsome. His name is Benji Andor. Whatever chemistry they had kind of fizzles out when Benji is like super strict and tells her that she needs to be done with her novel by the end of the week and submit the manuscript. The problem is Florence hasn't written anything at all because she doesn't believe in love, so how can she even write a romance novel? Right? So she's stressed out about it, and to make matters worse, she gets a phone call from her hometown saying that there's something bad that's happened and she needs to go back home. She goes back home and she's kind of trying to help her family out, and as she's living there, one day her editor shows up at her doorstep, but the problem is that he's dead. So like it's his ghost that shows up on her doorstep. He is just as confused as her, and so these two try to figure out what exactly happened to Benji, and kind of try to figure out what are the next steps to take. And as they're doing that, obviously they hang out together a lot because Florence is the only one who can see him. So they hang out together a lot, and Florence starts falling for him despite trying as hard as she can to keep their connection minimal. This book had been on my TBR for like I think 2 years now, but I'm finally glad I got to read this. I should have read this sooner, but I am glad that I read it now, and I really liked it, and like I've like annotated it a lot. I just had so much fun reading this book. Then the second book that I read was Mad Love by Willow Astor, which is part of the Single Dad Playbook series. All the books in this series are apparently single dad romances. So the first one is Mad Love, and all the guys, by the way, besides being single dads, they also happen to play hockey or football, I forgot. Okay, so it's a sports romance as well, and in this, the Mad Love is the first book in the series, and this is about one of the players. I'm so bad at remembering their names. So yeah, it's one of these players, and he gets a phone call saying that, oh, your son and the mother of your child are in the hospital. You need to come and like get them. You need to like come and pick up your son. And he's like, what the hell is going on? I didn't even know I had a son. So he goes to the hospital and he finds out that the mother of his child, whom he had like a one night stand with ages ago, like she passed away during the car accident, but the son is very much alive. So he goes there and he immediately makes up his mind that he wants to like take care of his son and get to know him and be his dad. But problem arises when he gets to the hospital and finds out that his son has an aunt who happens to be, the mother's sister, and she is very possessive of the son too. She honestly thought that he didn't want to take care of the son, which is why he hadn't shown up. So she's very much angry at him, and he kind of tries to convince her that no, I didn't even know this had happened. but now I want to be here for my son and take care of him. They, after a lot of arguing, they make a deal that she's going to come and live with him at his place with the son and like take care of him and try to get adjusted and give him a chance to parent his own son. So as they're doing that, obviously these two start falling for each other. But the girl whose name now I remember is Sadie. She obviously has her own reservation. She's like, oh my god, he like was once upon a time with my sister, and the her son is my nephew. Like, how could I possibly be with him? It's also small town romance. The small town vibes of this book is like so good. The names of the shops and the restaurants are so adorable. It almost sounds like Disneyland. But yeah, so it's their romance. They kind of start living together. It's like enemies to lovers type of romance. So that's the first book in the series. The second book, which I was lucky enough to receive an ARC from, is called Secret Love, and this is obviously, as the name suggests, a forbidden romance. And the guy, who is one of the other players on the team, also a single dad to 3 girls. He's a total girl dad. He falls in love with one of his daughter's English teachers. So it's a teacher student's parent romance, and it's also an age gap romance. She's like really young, she's like in her 20s and he's in his like 30s, I think. She teaches one of his daughters, and she also like conducts like dance lessons or something like that in the town, so they hang out together a lot. So it's not necessarily like secret. It's just that, you know, they are hesitant about telling their kids that they're dating, because the kids actually very much want their dad to be with their birth mom. So you actually see the kids trying to set their actual parents up even though they got divorced. That is the plot of the second book, and it's really good. All these books are the only 2 books in the series have come out so far. I think there are going to be 2 more books. I know for a fact that the 3rd book in the series is actually a best friends to lovers romance, so that sounds pretty cool. I had a lot of fun reading these 2 books. It was so good. If you like small town romances and single parent trope, definitely check out the Single Dad's Playbook by Willow Astor. It's so good. The town vibes is like amazing to die for. So those are the 2 books I read. After this, okay, where was I? My dad came in, so I stopped the video. I get really awkward filming in front of other people. But yeah, I guess I was going to talk about the next book I read after Secret Love. This book is a dark romance, and it's called Toxic Obsession, which is by J.A. Owenby, and it's a college, like university romance, but it's really dark. And it's about this guy Quinn, who is 2 years ago lost his twin sister during a school shooting, and he's like so upset by it, and his mood just like goes down or whatever. He's like a completely different person now. So in university, he's part of the football team, I think, and he is also part of a secret society with other players on the football team. And this secret society, I think they are like owners of a sex club. I'm saying that super softly, but like I just don't want my parents to hear it. It's so embarrassing. But yeah, so they like own this like secret club and everything where they have their meetings, whatever. And they actually kidnap the girls they're interested in and take them to the club. A new student, the girl, his love interest, joins the university. And through his dad, he finds out that this girl is actually like responsible for his sister's death, and he vows to take revenge on her. So the girl's name is Winter, and she is also like pretty closed off because her brother, she like lost her little brother once upon a time, and she's kind of mistrusts everybody. Family has like gained a very bad reputation of what her younger brother did and how he died. So she just wants to lay low, but obviously Quinn enters her life and he starts wooing her and romancing her, and she's like slowly opening up to him. But obviously the secret that Quinn has been harboring about, his sister dying and her being responsible just might be the thing that like breaks their whole relationship. That's the book. I thought it was like okay. Like when it comes to dark romances, I'm really specific. I usually like dark romances where the girl is just as headstrong as the guy and like she can give it back to him. Books like the ones that Sophie Lark has written, for example, her mafia romances and dark romances are really good. Those are the kind of dark romances I like to read. And this one was sort of similar. She's pretty headstrong. So I thought it was a good book. I kind of gave it like 3.8, 4 stars, something like that. So yeah, that's Toxic Obsession by J.A. Owenby. Yeah, it's part of the Whitmore Elite series and it's the 5th book in the series. I received an arc of this book again, so that's how I ended up reading it. After this, I read A Lady's Lesson in Scandal by Darcy McGuire, which is again an arc that I received from NetGalley, and it's a Regency era romance, and the girl whose name I forgot is basically like a secret spy in the Regency era world. So she's a secret spy working for an organization of sorts that works under the queen, right? The queen like elects people to like go and take out like human traffickers or rapists and things like that. So she is training to be one of the agents, and while she's doing that, her stepmother is like forcing her to get married to someone. So she doesn't want to get married, and what she does is when they're at the engagement ball where they're going to announce that she's getting married to like some old guy, what she does is she ends up kissing one of the other people present there. He also happens to be an agent working for the president. So she kisses him and he's like so livid when he finds out that she only like took an interest in him just to get rid of like her engagement. But instead of lashing out at her, he proposes that they get married instead. She's like, oh my god, okay, this kind of backfired, but like she doesn't have a way out. So she's like, okay, I'll just get married, but I'll just never tell him that I'm training to be a spy. And he obviously doesn't know that as well, but he kind of starts noticing how strong she is, and like there are instances where some of her talents as a spy are revealed. That's like basically their story. This book is also part of a series. The name of the series is called The Queen's Deadly Damsels, and this is the 2nd book in the series. So I haven't read the first one. After that, I read Until Then by Michaela Smeltzer, which I also received an arc of. I know this is like the 4th arc I read in October, and Until Then is like the 2nd novel to 1111. And 1111, if you don't already know, is a small town romance which is reverse age gap. So the 2nd book follows the 1st book. Okay, so the 1st book follows Via and Reed, and the 2nd book follows Via's younger sister, and whose name is Izzy, and Izzy falls in love with Derek, who is Reed's father. Crazy. The whole plot is crazy. I remember like explaining this to my friend at uni, and she was just as confused and bewildered by the whole thing. And her life kind of falls apart in LA, so she moves to this small town to be closer to her sister and to gain her sense of self and kind of figure out who she is and what she really wants to do with her life. And while she's there, she has an assistant in Maine who helps her out with her social media. So Izzy doesn't really have like a place to live, so her assistant's like, oh my god, you can live with my dad, he has an extra room. And obviously her dad happens to be Derek, who is technically Via's father-in-law. Via is dating his son. So she starts living with Derek and they kind of start getting close together, and it's like really good. He like takes her out every day to the gas station to get slushies, which I thought was super cute. Yeah, that is like their book. Like if you ignore the relations and all that, I guess you can still end up enjoying the romance, because both these romances, if you just ignore the whole like how the characters are actually related to each other, they're both the books are just really good, fun, small town romances. They take place in Maine, which is like, you know, coastal, so you get all the coastal vibes. They're like at the sea, it's raining a lot, and it's just a pretty little town. So the second book actually has really good small town vibes. So if you want like something, a romance set in a really good scenery, then you should consider picking up Until Then. And Until Then is basically about Izzy, whose life in LA, she's an influencer, and it's nothing much than that. It's just a very simple like romance. Like you can read it in between like heavy books. It's just a really good buffer, I'd say, or even a good book to like break a book hangover, so, or reading slumps. Then after this, I read another arc, which is called Riot by Mackenzie Fox, and it's a motorcycle romance. The guy, Riot, is part of a motorcycle club, and the girl happens to be working as like an assistant of sorts to one of the other heroines that you see in the book. It's part of the series called Nola Rebels MC, and I have no idea what the full form is. I know NOLA is like, I think like New Orleans or something. It's, you know, it's set in New Orleans, and this is actually a insta love romance. Like they kind of fall in love immediately the first time they see each other, but it takes them a while to be together again because there's like a lot of missions and stuff going on or something like that. And I thought this book was really cheesy. I don't know, just like some of the things that the characters were saying or doing, I thought was super cheesy. So I gave this book like 3 stars. Like if you like that kind of books and if you're into motorcycle romances, this was actually the first one I read. So I thought it was like, okay. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna read any more motorcycle romances. If you guys know any good ones, you can obviously comment them down below, and I'll make sure to add them to my TBR and check them out. So that's Riot. After this, I read another arc from NetGalley, which is called The Wolf of Mayfair. This is also another Regency era romance. It's about this girl whose name I forgot because it wasn't really that good of a book. So she's like lost her family and everything, and she's kind of wanting to like get away from her small town and escape the man whom she's engaged to be married to. So she wants to escape all that. So she like finds out that her mom had a friend who was a duchess, and she's like, okay, maybe I can ask her help and she might like let me stay in her place for a while until I figure out what to do with my life. So she goes to her place, like mansion or whatever, but she finds out that her mom's friend is not there and that her son is there, in fact. So he's like immediately like, I don't know you. If my mother knew you, she would have definitely told me about you, and she hasn't, so I don't trust you at all. I don't want you to be here. But then there's a storm coming and she kind of begs and pleads, and he finally allows. She starts living there, and he's like, like, you are completely under my control now, whatever, because you're living here, you need to like pay me for this generosity I'm showing you. I thought it was like an okay book, nothing really special. The ending wasn't necessarily my favorite either. On Goodreads it says that I've rated this book 4 stars, but like honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like better off as a 3. So yeah, I read that. That is The Wolf of Mayfair. Then I read Stolen Dreams, which is another arc I received. Stolen Dreams is really good. It's by Persephone Autumn, and it's part of the Stone Bay series, which is a series of small town romantic suspenses. And Stolen Dreams is basically Juniper Hill from the Eden's series by Daphne Perry. So if you've read Juniper Hill, then I'm 100% certain that you're going to end up loving the Stone Bay series. End up loving Stolen Dreams from the Stone Bay series. So this book, instead of the like how you have in Juniper Hill, where it's a single mother trope, in Stone Bay series, it's just a single dad trope. So he has a son, and she is like a behavioral therapist who works at the same school his son is studying in. So she kind of helps him with his problems when he's being bullied by other students. And when she's at a bar, she actually meets the guy. His name is Ray, and the girl's name is Kea. So they meet at the bar, and he's like, well, I heard that you helped my son out, and I would really like for you to be part of this summer program that I'm conducting to teach children how to cook easy recipes. So I would really like for you to be there and help me manage the kids and everything. So she's like, okay. And during the summer they hang out a lot, and they start getting closer. Just a really good book, and it's very, very similar to Juniper Hill. So like, if you have read Juniper Hill, then read this book. In fact, the book is coming out today, the day that I'm filming this video, which is November 1st. So yeah, go check it out. I also can't wait to check out the previous books in the series because the plots sound amazing. I actually went back on Goodreads and read all the synopsis of the previous 3 books, so I can't wait to read this one. I can't wait to read those. That's Stolen Dreams by Persephone Autumn. Then the final book that I read in October was Pretty Heartache by Brittany Taylor, which is the third and final book in the Harding Brothers series, and can be read as a standalone because it doesn't spoil like the couples of the other 2 Harding brothers, like other 2 books in the series. So Pretty Heartache is an age gap romance and a brother's best friend romance. It's about this girl, Adeline. Yeah, the girl's name is Adeline and the guy's name is Micah. So Adeline has known Micah since she was a kid and has always had a crush on him, but they kind of like lose touch with each other because there's such a big age gap between her and her brother and her and Micah. And in the present, she's a model, and she's also in like a very abusive relationship. So to get away from all that press and media and the abusive relationship, she gets out of Los Angeles, and she calls up her brother Archer, saying that she needs a place to live. And Archer is like, okay, Micah has a place, so you can live with him for a while if you want. So she's like, okay. She goes to Micah's house, and they meet and reconnect, and Micah totally starts seeing her in a new light, and be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't look like a little girl anymore, she looks like a woman now. And he's immediately attracted to her, and she kind of starts realizing that her feelings for him are growing again. And when they're living in that house together, the house is super old and broken down, so they decide that they're gonna renovate the house and sell it. Yeah, as they're doing this, obviously they end up falling in love with each other. So this was a pretty good book. Nothing too special, but it wasn't really that boring either. So I breezed through this book. That's it for this video. Those are all the 10 books I read in October. I thank you guys for watching. Also, thank you to all the people who have subscribed to my channel since I posted that last video, which was I think October must reads. So thank you guys so much for all the views I'm getting, and also thank you for subscribing to my channel and liking my videos. It just makes my day seeing you guys like and comment on my videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in my next video very, very soon. Bye.